Today on Newswatch, all eyes on Michigan. As voters go to the polls, Donald Trump's numbers are faltering. And could this be Bernie Sanders' last stand? Plus, we'll show you how the church in Cuba is growing despite decades of political restrictions. And
archaeology's probably cleared up already over half of all what appeared to be alleged discrepancies in the scriptures.
The case for believing the Bible. Thanks for joining us for CBN Newswatch. I'm Charlene Aaron. 4 more states vote for president today, and the polls suggest this could be another big night for Donald Trump. But could there be a surprise in the key state of Michigan? CBN's David Brody reports from Detroit.
Donald Trump may be leading the delegate race for president, but polls show his lead in the polls is starting to dwindle in some upcoming states, including the big prize, Michigan. Part of the reason is a sustained attack by his opponents, claiming he's simply not a conservative.
It is easy to talk about making America great again. Didn't even print that on a baseball cap. But the real question is, do you understand the principles and values that made America great in the first place?
There's no doubt Trump is on the defensive. He tried to push back against that narrative at a rally in Mississippi, a southern state that is among the 4 that vote today and where Trump is doing very well.
People would say Donald Trump is not a conservative. No. Call me whatever you want. I am a very conservative. I'm conservative on trade. I'm conservative in the military. I'm conservative with our vets. Our vets are going to be taken care of. I'm conservative with education. I mean, I'm a real conservative, but I'm also a smart and common sense conservative.
The mantle of smart and common sense conservative is one that John Kasich hopes voters embrace, especially in the key state of Michigan. As he indicated at last week's debate, he's looking forward to competing in Rust Belt states, since he's a Rust Belt governor from neighboring Ohio.
It's now March Madness, and we're heading up north to the place, to my turf, okay?
Kasich is positioning himself as the solutions-oriented candidate who is edgy, but not over the top like Trump.
Your job as a politician, and I've been in many offices now for a long time, your job is to solve problems and give people an opportunity to realize their purpose. That's what a politician's job is.
Kasich hopes Tuesday's Michigan primary will be a springboard to better things ahead. He's last in the delegate race, but with upcoming primaries in his home state of Ohio, plus Pennsylvania and Illinois, he thinks he can be the last one standing when the GOP convenes in Cleveland for their convention. But doing well in Michigan is a key part of the plan. There are polls that have suggested that he could do well here. There are also some polls that show him dead last. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what the folks here in Michigan have to say about John Kasich and his future. David Brody, CBN News in Detroit, Michigan.
Well, Michigan isn't only important to the Republicans. It is the first big industrial state to weigh in. And analysts say it could be Bernie Sanders' last chance against Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders crisscrossed the state Monday, battling for every last vote ahead of today's crucial primary. Both have focused on economic issues. Michigan could be a key point in the race in favor of Clinton, who can cement her lead over Sanders. A Monmouth University poll showed her with a 13-point advantage. She's now looking ahead to the general election and is focusing on her GOP rival Donald Trump. At a rally in Detroit, Clinton didn't mention Sanders. Instead, she talked about taking on the GOP.
The sooner I could become your nominee, the more I could begin to turn our attention to the Republicans.
And although they're in a race for the Democratic nomination now, Clinton says Sanders can help her win in November.
I would hope to be able to enlist Bernie in helping me reach out to his supporters, if I am so fortunate enough to be the nominee.
Despite a narrow path to the nomination, Sanders isn't giving up. He pledges to stay in the race until the party's convention in July.
If there is a large voter turnout, we will win.
But a Sanders loss today could make that even less likely, as Clinton appears to be on her way to securing the Democratic nomination. And voters in Hawaii, Idaho, and Mississippi are also going to the polls today. Well, former First Lady Nancy Reagan will lie in repose at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library Wednesday and Thursday. First Lady Michelle Obama will attend the funeral on Friday, while President Obama is among those offering condolences.
I had the opportunity to meet Ms. Reagan once. Obviously, she was already advanced in age, but could not have been more gracious and more charming to myself and Michelle when we first came into office.
Mrs. Reagan is being remembered for the sense of style she brought to the White House and for her devotion to her husband. Historian and author Jane Hampton Cook shared with CBN News in D.C.
In the face of criticism, especially criticism from the press, she could laugh at the days to come, as it says in Proverbs 31. She really had a good sense of humor. And I think that really helped keep things calm during, some difficult intensity that you feel when you're the First Lady.
Mrs. Reagan will be buried at the Reagan Library next to her husband. President Ronald Reagan died in 2004 at the age of 93. Mrs. Reagan was 94 when she died on Sunday. Counterterrorism officials in the UK say ISIS is planning an enormous and spectacular attack. Monday, UK terrorism authorities said the Islamic State's strategy is shifting, and while it once had been using propaganda to radicalize people, the group is now trying to build bigger attacks. Officials say ISIS is trying to bring jihadis trained in Syria into northern Europe to launch attacks. 150 militants are dead after U.S. airstrikes bombarded an al-Shabaab training camp Saturday. Multiple drones and manned aircrafts launched missiles and bombs on the camp in Somalia. Officials at the Pentagon say those killed were likely preparing to launch an attack against African or U.S. personnel. Well, an outbreak of the Zika virus in Latin America has caused officials to declare an international health emergency. The virus causes brain damage in babies. Operation Blessing is on the scene in Latin America using a unique approach to prevent the virus from spreading. Gary Lane has that story.
Health workers in Lima, Peru fumigate classrooms in hopes of preventing the spread of the deadly Zika virus. But insecticide spraying and mosquito nets, for the most part, have proven ineffective in stopping the mosquito called Aedes aegypti that spreads the Zika virus. Operation Blessing International President Bill Horan explains that it has to do when the mosquitoes are active.
Mosquito bed nets are not as effective for these mosquitoes as they were for most because the Aedes aegypti sleeps at night. They don't bite very often at night. These mosquitoes are especially active right at dawn for about 2 hours and just before dark for about 2 hours.
Based on Operation Blessing's experience in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina, Horan came up with a unique solution. OB is distributing mosquito-eating fish, like the indigenous sambo fish in El Salvador.
We are using them, we're distributing them, and we're helping to support a woman who is raising them down there. But in Mexico now, we have the okay right from the cabinet level of the Mexican government to use gambusia that are found locally in Mexico to eat mosquito larvae.
OB is working in the Acapulco area and soon in Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula near Cancun. And on location in El Salvador, Operation Blessing's Tony Cece explains how the project works there.
They're putting the fish into their sinks and into containers like this. Now this one's being used to store the sambo fish, but in homes they use it to store water. And one of the problems is that these are a breeding ground for the Aedes aegypti larvae, which become the mosquitoes that carry the viruses like chikungunya and dengue and now Zika.
The Zika virus has been linked to brain damage in babies and paralysis in others. OB workers are raising awareness.
Well, you've always said, Bill, that educating the public is crucial. How are you doing that? What do they need to know that they don't know at
Well,
this point?
Gary, we've learned in other outbreaks of epidemics like cholera, like Ebola, that awareness, making the public aware, especially the poor who don't have access maybe to television the way that we do or the internet, we have our teams out making people aware of this Zika, what it is, and how they can fight it themselves.
And Operation Blessing's efforts aren't limited to El Salvador and Mexico. Horan met with Ana Hernandez, the First Lady of Honduras, to get her blessing to start a mosquito-eating fish project in that Central American country.
We're doing a great service. We're saving lives. We're eliminating suffering. And we're going after this disease at its source. But wherever the Zika goes, Operation Blessing is going to go also.
Gary Lane, CBN News.
Coming up, explosive church growth in an unlikely place. See why Christianity has thrived in communist Cuba. After the militants who killed 4 nuns at a Yemeni retirement home also abducted a priest, Father Tom Uz-Hun-Alil, a native of India who was handcuffed and then taken away by the attackers. There's no word of his condition or location. Gunmen attacked the nursing home run by the Sisters of Teresa in the port city of Aden on Sunday, killing 16 people. Al-Qaeda and ISIS militants are active in the area. Well, Cuba has been dominated by communism for more than 50 years, but many people have wondered how strong was the church in Cuba during those decades. We're now learning that it did amazingly well despite difficult times, and the hardship has actually paved the way for an explosion of church growth today. Heather Sells brings us that story from Havana.
On a typical Sunday morning in Cuba, you'll find church crowds overflowing around the island. Many are house churches meeting in remodeled living rooms. Others look like your typical church with one big difference: political restrictions.
Space is an issue for so many Cuban churches. For this particular church, the government will not sell it more land, and it's growing, so it's been forced to build up.
On the upper levels, you'll find Sunday school rooms plus 4 spillover areas to watch the Sunday service.
When you have 80 to 100 people in an apartment, it's hard, very hard, and neighbors get upset.
Pastor Miguel leads a house church now meeting in his yard because it no longer fits inside. It's a common theme in Cuban churches fueled by incredible growth and government restrictions. In the past 20 years, more than 16,000 evangelical churches have opened their doors.
One of the things that has made us grow in faith has been the limitations and the difficulties.
Pastor Nestor and his wife Rosa live in one room above their tiny church. On Sunday mornings and during weeknight services, only a few will have a real seat.
People here don't care how comfortable they are. They could be exhausted from working all day and they will sit on a bag of rocks, a stitched up chair, or stand the whole service, and they're okay with that.
Cuban church leaders say events led by the fall of the Soviet Union sparked the current church planting explosion.
When the Russian government collapsed, Cuba went through a lot, and people started looking to churches for hope.
At the same time, the government ended its atheistic philosophy and declared itself a secular state, leading an entire generation to question what it believed. A government official at the time suggested that churches, unable to obtain building permits, meet in homes. That offhand comment sparked a movement similar to early church growth in the Book of Acts. Pastor Francisco is one of thousands of Cuban house church pastors who followed the gospel with tremendous passion.
We have evangelized everyone who lives in this area, a New Testament Bible to each home. We can't stop, we won't stop, because even if they won't accept the Lord the first, second, third, or fourth time, even so, we can't stop until they come to the Lord.
The growth of the church here is even more miraculous given the country's poverty. Average monthly government salary is $20, and professionals typically make less than $50. Still, Cuban churches are known for their generosity and willingness to sacrifice for the sake of the gospel.
What we have, we want to share with others. What we have, not what we have left over.
Another obstacle Cuban churches face is spiritual warfare in the form of Santeria. It's a blend of West African religions known for its ritual ceremonies.
This is a wooded area in Havana where those practicing Santeria like to come. They will perform ritual cleansings in the river here and offer sacrifices on this rock.
Pastor Nestor faces resistance right in the neighborhood. During one Sunday worship, a Santeria group stood outside the church, beating their drums.
It was kind of like a spiritual face-off. The church just started praying, and then we prayed for rain, and all of a sudden there was thunder, so they had to leave.
Church leaders say they're enjoying a new season of relaxed restrictions. It's easier to evangelize outside the church, and they receive more permits to hold special events. Still, most churches cannot expand or buy land. They cannot produce Christian radio or television shows. And they must work around a dysfunctional economy. Remodeling plans at Pastor Nestor's church are on hold indefinitely until they can obtain much-needed cement.
Sometimes without suffering, there's no challenge, and without that challenge, there's no victory.
Reporting in Havana, Cuba, Heather Sells, CBN News.
Up next, a look at the truth and accuracy of the Bible. Josh McDowell and other top experts make the case for believing in Christ. This time of year, Christians around the world remember the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. But in a growing secular society, more and more Americans deny such miracles and question the accuracy of the Bible. Paul Strand recently talked to 3 experts with evidence that believers, rather than the scoffers, actually have it right.
These days, many Christians, especially college-age students, find their faith in God and the Bible questioned, if not downright assaulted.
Sometimes they'll have a professor that's going to outright challenge why they believe what they believe and say, look, what you believe is actually a fairy tale.
Not so, according to 3 of the world's top biblical experts, who told CBN News there's good reason to have faith in your faith.
The faith is very, very defendable. That's why it's lasted for 2,000 years.
They point to how even respected non-believers wrote about Jesus.
16 total historians, apart from the scripture, everything else, that reference Christ. Almost everything about Christ we can find out without ever going to the New Testament.
The fact is, surviving manuscripts we have for almost any ancient writings were produced hundreds of years after those original writings.
Jonathan Morrow tells students at the Impact 360 Institute there's more evidence that Jesus lived than Julius Caesar, yet no one doubts Caesar existed. Also, a rule is the closer in time the writer was to events, the more likely his account is accurate. Peter, John, and James lived with Jesus.
John said, what our eyes have seen, what our ears have heard, what our hands have handled is what we're declaring unto you. In other words, we were eyewitnesses. We were there.
And Morrow points out Paul and Luke interviewed them and knew many others who witnessed Jesus' life, death, and resurrection.
When you're doing history, you want early and you want eyewitnesses. And the gospel writers give you both. They investigated everything carefully. They have the ring of truth to them. They include embarrassing details.
Another understanding among scholars?
What the age does, they find the closer the manuscript to the original, less chance of error or miscopying.
But McDowell explains no original copies exist of the most well-respected and accepted ancient works.
When you look at Greek and Roman historians like Herodotus and Tacitus and Livy, those are hundreds of years later, 500, 600, 700 years after the fact.
Bible manuscripts, though, get closer to the original work than any other.
We've got manuscripts and fragments that show up within 35, 40 years of the time when they were written. Why does that matter? It means there's not enough time for error in mythology to corrupt the message of what's going on there.
Second, the more manuscripts you have, the easier it is to reconstruct the original.
Here, the surviving ancient copies or pieces of the Bible way outnumber all others.
66,420 some manuscripts and scrolls.
McDowell says second place is Homer's The Iliad with just 1,800.
We do trust Homer. How much more so should we trust the New Testament documents?
With so many more copies, no surprise there'd be occasional errors. And critics claim there are some 400,000 mistakes or variants in the Bible. Well,
99% of those 400,000 or so number evaporate. Simple spelling errors, word order.
Like H-O-N-O-R, H-O-N-O-U-R.
But none of those texts that are in question affect any central teaching of Christian doctrine or practice.
And Bach and Morrow explain to students many of the so-called contradictions in the Bible are just different ways of telling the same story.
And difference does not equal contradiction, it's just difference.
Doubters have a hard time believing that the Bibles we're reading today could accurately reflect the actual words written by the authors so many centuries ago.
But McDowell explains how for Jewish scribes, copying books like Genesis and Exodus was holy work and strictly controlled.
4,000 regulations the scribe had to follow to guarantee accuracy.
Monks had tight rules for copying as well. Another reason to trust the Bible, archaeology and related research have time and again shown the Bible's true and Bible skeptics wrong.
Archaeology has probably cleared up already over half of all what appeared to be alleged discrepancies in the scriptures.
Skeptics would say there's no record of a Nazareth, so the New Testament can't be true, and no record of the Hittites, so the Old Testament can't be true. Well, archaeology and associated research shows both existed.
But now you can go to Harvard or anywhere else and study the Hittite language.
Finally, there's the proof of logic. The apostles kept saying to their opponents,
"You know what I'm talking about. You were there."
McDowell points out that's a crazy thing to do if you're making the whole thing up.
They appealed to the knowledge of their opponents for the facts of which they talk about. To me, that's one of the best tests of truth historically.
Bach asked what better proof the earliest disciples weren't making it all up than the fact they almost all were martyred for it.
You don't die knowingly for something that you know you made up.
Paul Strand, CBN News.
And Paul has much more with those Bible experts, including how modern archaeology is answering questions from Scripture that have fueled Bible doubters for centuries. To see those extra interviews, just go to our website, cbnnews.com. We'll be right back. Operation Blessing is helping families in Tennessee provide food for their children. Alicia is a single mom of 5 who was struggling to put food on the table until a friend referred her to an Operation Blessing-run food pantry called Joseph's Storehouse. Alicia is now able to provide nutritious meals for her kids, and she is just one of the 600 families that Joseph's Storehouse provides food for. Alicia says she is thankful for the assistance and was recently able to land a better job to help provide for her children. And you can find out more about Operation Blessing by going to their website at ob.org. And that's it for now on CBN News Watch. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com, and tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do that on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. We hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day, and God bless.